سلام میکنم به همه شما دوستان و همراهان پرژن اوارد جوایز پارسی. مجده هستم از ونکوور کانادا به همراه یک مهمان عزیز برنامه Councillor Godwin Chen from Toronto, Richmond Hill. I just said hello to everyone, Councillor. So you can just say hello to everyone as well. Then I can talk about that. What is you've done a lot in this community and in this country. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to bring greetings from our beautiful in the east side of Canada called Richmond Hill, Ontario. And we are a community about 220,000, a very diverse and inclusive community. In particular, I'm thrilled that we have a very vibrant community from the Persian cultural background, people who speak Farsi around me, and I even have a name in Farsi given to me by a very good friend of mine back about 16 years ago. Except my Farsi is so good, I'm not going to embarrass myself in front of all of you, but I just want to say every rules that I still remember back quite a number of years ago. I take it I was brave enough to jump off the fire, not one time, 3 times. So,
perfect.
So to that end, I feel that even though I'm ethnically, I'm Chinese background, but I feel always be part of the Iranian Canadian community. And every year, particularly springtime, I look forward to lose every single year. And thank you for giving me the chance to introduce our beautiful city of Richmond Hill and with our very diverse and very vibrant Farsi-speaking community in here.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. So Councillor Godwin Chen, as he said, one of the Iranian member named him. I think he named you Khodadad, if I'm not wrong. Right? Yes.
You say much better than I do.
No, I'm sure you can try as well, Councillor. Just try it. Khodadad.
Khodadad.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So Councillor Godwin Chen, first elected in 2006, and a lawyer by profession, has provided community leadership in a wide range of areas, including policing, education, public health, and road safety for over 2 decades. That's I can say, huge background of Mr. Chen. So, Councillor, I just wanted to, you know about Persian community, and you told me that you even jumped over the fire on Charshanbe Suri, and you know about Nowruz. So, what is the importance what is the importance of culture in immigrants, like the people who they immigrate to other country? What is the importance, in your opinion?
Right. Well, actually, culture representing is living form of expression. It could be language. It could be sometimes non-verbal, whether expressing in art form, like drawing, of course, musical. And I still remember something that some of the instruments, I went to a musical show performed by people of the Persian background. And some of the instruments are very look alike to I mentioned about from the ethnic Chinese background. It's very much alike. And this brings the, I got to relate to your point. As immigrants, whether in Canada, United States, or Europe, wherever, people from different background, cultural background, bring in their particular talents, whether it's playing on a musical instrument or, like through other form of art. Just for example, the way how an artist would draw a bird or other animals, and based on my limited experience, might actually, import, so to speak, of different kind of cultural background from wherever he or she has originally come from. So to me, we are fortunate in North America, both United States and Canada, to have immigrants from basically all over the world, bringing the cultures, whether in fact people from originally from Iran, from other countries, but it's all like, really enriching. And like to me, as a particular person who have been engaged in the community and also in Canada, is very inclusive. And I find it really fortunate. Like, for example, I mentioned about celebrating Luz. It's just not only among people who speak Farsi, or people also have from other different areas in Central Asia and other places also celebrate Luz. And that's all of a sudden all become a common language. Language in the sense, not linguistic speaking, but in terms of the art form, because as I understand it, there might be a little bit slight variation in terms of dance steps or have you, but it's really celebrate the spring, right?
Yes.
So to that end, I think immigrants on in general speaking enrich the countries. I would say the whole cultural life, whether in Canada, United States, and of course, particularly with the culture from Iran and Persia, there's a long history of really bring into and culture as well as in other areas, whereas in science, with other arts and so on. So it's a very good question. And I honestly feel that particularly in Canada, we are really, really blessed with people coming from all over the world, and make it to be one of the countries that people all desire to come to live with a high quality of life.
Thank you. And in your opinion, how can politicians like you can support these kind of activities, like cultural artist activities? How can you support this?
Well, my thinking is that at least in 3 different areas. One is from a policy setting perspective, to build in from a policy setting, whether it's relating to housing, whether it's relating to the urban development, to think about the potential or possibility of expression of art and culture. So the policy aspect. Secondly, you have to put it into practice. Just saying it is good, but you have to follow up with some action, right? So to that end, for example, if I may say, use a local example, in the city of Richmond Hill here in Canada and Ontario, we actually adopted what we call Richmond Hill Cultural Plan back 10 years ago in 2011. And then every year we have an annual report. The annual report is like a scorecard, like a kid go to school, and at the end of the school year, do you score 90 out of 100 or whatever? So that gives the opportunity for not just us, quote unquote, as politicians, but the public know, oh, you say you have an interest, or your city really places emphasis on culture. How well have you done in the past year? So it's measuring the action. And when I say action that need to be not just visible, but actually can be measured. And that's why I said the second point. And the third one is kind of relating to the second point, is that the types of activities that we as, I would say, local representative or other level representative, whether it's provincial or the state in the United States or the federal, how we as elected official would really be showing that particular interest in participating to events. And I'll be completely open to say that when I go to event, I don't just appearing for the photo op, say a few things in the beginning and Zoom. I might come back later. Well, of course, some nights are very busy, some days are very busy, but if I do have the time to accept an invitation to a community event for, let's say, for arts performance, I would be there to really watch, and if an opportunity exists, to engage with the community, whether in fact it could be showing a movie. In fact, I have shared with you before we actually conduct the interview, when we have a particular movie night showing that Farsi-speaking movies, and actually we have director actually come from Los Angeles in California, the States, and not only they're showing the Farsi-speaking movie, but in the end, they will be actually conducting a question and answer. And I would stay behind because the director from the Los Angeles will actually be conducting English. So I as a person who Farsi is certainly not my first language, not even second language, and I can kind of engage. So those to me are action, from the policy perspective, from a really in terms of the action through the I have a plan in our city and also annual report. And thirdly, personally, as a local elected official, I actually participate in events. And not to mention about all these parties during the rules time.
Thank you so much. My other question is, how can immigrants grow in the new countries? Like, they are coming from a culture, they have their culture, they have their connection, they are putting something behind and coming to a new country like Canada or States. And as you mentioned, you as a politician person, you're supporting them by acting and engaging in them. But how can they grow like other citizens? Like, they're a newcomer. What is your idea about these people?
It's a very good question. I have to say I'm also a first generation Canadian, meaning that I also I am an immigrant myself. And I used to be speaking spoken English, broken English, and I still speak English with an accent, but I'm glad you can hear me out. I think that part of it is in terms of as an immigrant to a new country, that realize there are different stages of adapting to quote and unquote and building a new life in a new country. In some cases, maybe even foreign in the sense that there might be cultural differences. So that would be not just adjusting linguistically, learn the language, hearing what people were saying, because I'm sure that a number of immigrants can relate to it. One may learn English back home, but it's a different situation. Your English may be very good in terms of understanding, reading, and so on. But when you actually live in an English-speaking country, there are some differences in terms of the slang that, day-to-day language people use that might or might not appear in the kind of books or kind of English learning lessons you have back in home, so to speak. So I gather, individually, I guess, psychologically, I have to prepare that there were certain kind of stages or time period go through the adjustment, whether it's in language, whether it's a way of adopting to new way of thinking and life. And I have to say, everybody's experience is different. It also depending on the different community, whether in fact, I'm thinking about the socio-demographic makeup. And certainly in bigger cities like Vancouver, like Toronto or Montreal, they are more, I would say, cosmopolitan. Whereas where you may be in a relatively smaller place and not as much as international flavor. Sometimes that stage of adapting and maybe a little bit difficult. Now I'm talking about from our own internal kind of standpoint, but I think that if we truly believe that we are here meaning as an immigrant to live in this country, whereas Canada, United States, and we want to make a contribution. Of course, we want to make sure that we are well settled economically. We want our family or our children or our loved ones be, having a good life, so to speak, in many respects. And that's the wishes of many immigrants, no matter where they come from, to build a new life in Canada, in the United States. However, once we kind of get our, I would say, financial aspect, not necessarily, some people come with more money than others, let's face it.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
the extent that once we kind of economically or financially kind of stable, if that's the right term, then getting engaged with the community in general, whether if you're people of your common background, and particularly in Canada and the United States as well, with the other cultural groups. And you know what? And particularly if we're talking about immigrants, as I was saying earlier, a lot of immigrants came to this new world with similar kind of expectation to build a good life for themselves and also for the families. Like I myself, I spend my time going to university in Canada. I become trainer as a lawyer in Canada. And in fact, lo and behold, 2006, I entered into a local election. And I was actually very honored when I was told back in 2006, when I was first elected in the city of Richmond Hill. At the time, it's called Town Richmond Hill. I was the first person, what I guess in the United States, they would call it a person of color. And in Canada, they might call the person a visible minority that to be elected at any level in Richmond Hill. So I have to be saying that it's certainly not easy. I did go through a number of years of adaptation, adjustment, as I mentioned to you. But as you read out my bio, that over 2 decades of community involvement in different areas, whether it's in policing, whether it's in education, whether it's in public health, or promoting safety on the road, you establish the connection, and also with people from different communities or cultural background, and knowing we are all looking for similar things in the community to have a safe, clean, good quality of life community. So to that end, I think as immigrants, we all make contribution, whether you are in the United States, you're in Canada. And I think that for myself, I'm seeing more in common than so-called our differences, because we all have differences, of course. And so I hope that this is something that we all can remind ourselves in some way. We are different. We're bringing a unique perspective, and it's going to make it better. And in fact, I'm honored to share back in 2016, I was chosen as one of the what they call World Bank of Canada Top 25 Canadian Immigrant Award, which is actually a number of the award recipients that year from Vancouver area, including the current Defense Minister of Canada. He was also a RBC, as we call it, Top 25 Canadian Immigrant Award 2016. So I'm quite honored to receive that. But I think the important part is that we as immigrants have much to contribute. And in fact, Canada, and I would say for people watching in the United States, so much better. And look, the Vice President of the United States of America actually have studied in Montreal, Canada. She actually graduated from Westmount Montreal High School. And now look, she's the second person in charge in the United States of America. That's the future. From Canada. Now, she's not an immigrant, but her parents were immigrants to the United States.
Yeah, that's totally right. Thank you for that. So you mentioned yourself as an immigrant, and you shared your journey that you contribute in a lot of areas. And with this contribution, you built this life. It's not easy, as you mentioned, but it's possible. Nothing is impossible. So that's good. Councillor, in the scientific and academic part, there is a lot of Iranian or other immigrants that they are coming, and they need to be able to grow in the society. They need to be able to contribute in the society as well. So which situation do you think can aid an immigrant to be successful when they finish the scientific and academic part? In which situation do you think?
Right. Thank you for the question. In fact, I'm aware of a number of Farsi-speaking community members who are really have very superior, I would say, educational background in science, engineering, and a number of places. In fact, a number of years ago, I used to go to their monthly meeting of the Iranian Canadian, I believe they call engineers and technologies group. So to me, it is a really good, I would say, not just self-supporting group, but also help to have a kind of information network for people, whether it's in this case Farsi speaking, but it could be for any group, so to speak, that people of similar background, whether it's in physics, whether it's in engineering, chemistry, what have you, have a forum, particularly for sharing, let's say with somebody or a teacher or a professor at certain places. There are places that people can share the information, and there's a good number of very good scientists, and in fact, a very good friend of mine, and that before he got into politics, he has been a professor, a lecturer, and also a very accomplished scientist. So I'm quite aware that the particular kind of network of forum that people can share of similar background, that would not only be a kind of, I would say, a solid platform for building that, it may not be the common term used these days, brotherhood, sisterhood, but nonetheless, academic-wide kind of forum for information sharing, for more personal and professional development. But I think it's also a cross-support group. And I think that would really be helpful. And I think particularly in Canada, we certainly, particularly from the higher education perspective, that, and I give credit to various provincial government as well as the federal government, and particularly in the, I would say, in the past decade or so, putting more emphasis on the, I guess people in different places call it differently, but more like a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. And I do understand, although I'm not academia, but at university hiring or some kind of recruitment of professionals, that they would be also looking about how best to be recruited from a very diverse background. And the important part is that the merits with the scientific, engineering, whatever, or even arts and whatever, because like I'm sure there are arts and culture-oriented higher institution in Vancouver where you are, in our Greater Toronto area, for example, we have a particular university is actually focused on arts and design. So for that aspect, people from different background with the cultural design, with the arts background, in addition, whether their particular, I would say, background in science, engineering, and other particular area, they all have different places to have this kind of opportunities. So I think that in places like us in Canada, that with the interest in terms of promoting diversity and being inclusive and equitable in terms of potential recruitment of this academic position or teaching professions, it does help to really solidify and getting the community feeling that, as you said early on, opportunities, because opportunities in some way it has to be earned, but also you have to have the opportunity to get to where you want to get, so you can really demonstrate your background, whether in science, in arts. That's what the skin color is, what particular cultural background you have, and should not be a quote unquote barrier.
So the diversity that you're talking about is all around Canada, especially, is helping by giving, like gathering together, sharing their information, and the background that they have in science or like art, engineering, they can contribute. That's really kind of essential, especially for immigrants. My next question for you is, how can the importance of culture and artistic scientist awards, for example, in Persian community, help more scientific and cultural activities?
It's actually interesting to ask that question, because in Richmond Hill, of course, we cannot hold any arts award in 2020 because of the pandemic, but we have been holding what we call Arts Award. Now, this is not only focused for a Farsi-speaking Iranian community or any other community. It was a community at large. But the idea is to have an award ceremony for celebrating artist accomplishment. So if I can use that as an analogy, I can certainly see with this idea of the, hopefully it'll be annual award for the Persian arts, that which certainly, I think, goes a long way to affirming the celebration of the Persian community's art in this great place, what we Canada. Even if you were doing the celebration in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, fine. I mean, those are fancy places to be in, but I think the important part is that having the ceremony in itself. I think if I were an artist, that to me is a great incentive for me to better perform myself at my next opportunity, and also affirming the importance of arts and culture. So I want to extend congratulations to the organizers planning, and maybe too late for 2021, but 2022, I wish you all the success of having this particular award for the Iranian, Canadians, and Persian community.
Thank you so much. Councillor, what is your opinion as a politician for people who are active in kind of activities like Persian Awards? What is your opinion that they can get more feedback and help for like being seen more in the society or be more active in this community? What is your opinion about people who are in this Persian Awards?
Yeah, and as I mentioned that particularly in Canada, we are such a quote unquote multicultural and very inclusive community. And it's always that there are things to, for not just for example, for the Iranian community to appreciate that people from the same background in terms of art form or performances, but also the opportunity to share that with the other cultures, other community groups within Canada. And I remember, for example, not just during the Nowruz for the celebration of the Persian New Year, but also other times in the summertime in particular, that there are really cultural performances, good musical performances in our harbor front in the Toronto area. And I think that is wonderful. Like the organizers, they're of Iranian background. However, the shows are all open to people from different background. I mean, I have gone down and won't it be nice thing about it. I hope that we can do it very soon, is that there will be mass gathering particularly, I'm sure Vancouver, you have the waterfront, you know, and all that. And in particular by our Lake Ontario or lakefront, and there were performances, whether it's musical performances, plus also there would be kind of like a studio kind of things, showcasing art. So I think that if I may be bold enough to make the suggestion, I think it's already being done. So continue, I would just say continue to offer, to share with the Persian art and culture from the Iranian Canadian community with in other places, whereas other people of other background can come to enjoy. And I think I always believe that through more opportunity to understand each other, more appreciative of each other culture. And as I had used the example before, like how a drawing of a bird, the different cultural background might have different kind of not connotation, but the presentation that would actually, I think, for people who are really open-minded and have that particular interest, would see, wow, this is the true value of the different kind of cultural background. I mean, it's a bird. How come, you know, somebody drawing like this, somebody drawing like that? And so I thought through those cultural expression, so those more intercultural, I would say, opportunities that certainly help to promote the Iranian community and also Persian culture on its own, but also to really galvanize, I would say, its position in the more multicultural Canada or United States.
As you mentioned about multicultural and talking about like a community, all of the community together, my next question from you is, one of the best way to empower on immigrants' culture and art is working as a team with other communities, like Persian community with other community, and sharing all these cultural and artistic. What do you think about this joint venture, and how can we this joint venture can be done, like doing all together?
Yeah, well, you mentioned about the point about joint venture. I mean, this is not like we get together and invest in a oil drilling business. I mean, usually, I'm a lawyer by background, so usually when we think about joint venture, it's about how to get into quote unquote commercial enterprises. In some way,
No, it's just teamwork.
No, I understand. I understand. But nonetheless, I understand. The idea was they're forming almost like a cooperative or coalition of how to celebrating the cultures together, our diverse culture. And I think in particular Canada, that we have this opportunity, whether in fact is the Canadian Council for the Arts, and I think locally, you're probably in Vancouver, and we have in Toronto, in Richmond here, whereas in York Region, we have the York Region Arts Council. I'm using local example, but I'm sure that different local and different provinces in Canada and federally, we have those arts council. And that would be, I would call as an umbrella to really have that in your term, the joint venture or coalition, as I call it, that from different groups, whether it's from the Iranian community artists, whether it's from wherever, let's say Japanese Canadian or other groups can be together to put together, use the term multicultural show. And particularly during the summertime, that we have Canada Day, July the 1st.
July 1st.
And that is actually great opportunity to showcase that the unless you could be doing in South Asian dance and Ukrainian dance, and I don't know how these gentlemen do it, and you might have seen it. They would jump off. They would jump off the stage and almost like at least about a few feet above the stage. And I'm sure there have been other kind of art form as well.
Yes.
But you know what? those are exciting opportunity, like during a festival, so to speak, particularly, well, Canada's a cold country, our winters be long. So it's good during the summertime when we have this kind of opportunity for have a coalition or as you call joint venture with different cultural groups through this either local arts council or provincial and federal. And also at the local level, we don't really have that much resources. But I gather at the provincial and federal level, groups that come together. You know what?
Doing it.
Put on a proposal and apply for funding. Now, the funding are public money, meaning you and I, as taxpayers, are actually paid to really try to enrich our arts and cultural life in Canada or in different provinces. So by actually the term you put together, joint venture, and I think that would be of, I would say, of probably interest or value to these various either regional or state or provincial arts council or even federal, Canadian or United States to look at it. How could be the funding? And let's face it, money is always in short supply. And particularly, and I'm not naive to think that it's not competition. There will be quite a bit of competition. But when you have groups that come together to celebrate jointly, cooperatively, and I think to me seems to be appears to be a winnable also to try to get the funders' attention. So I hope it helps.
Of course, it will. Of course, it will. My next question for you is, what is the role of local media in correcting and creating better communication between immigrants, the cultural and other citizens? Like not, we are talking about Persian community. So with Persian community and other citizens, what is the role of them? What do you think?
Yeah. With the Persian community, I'm aware, at least in the Greater Toronto area, there's a good number of weekly magazine that actually certainly, I'm sure that in Vancouver area as well, and other places, Los Angeles. So first of all, it is an information platform among the Persians in the Greater Toronto area. And I think that's also helpful, not just within the Persian, Iranian, Canadian community, but also for people like me who are not a Persian, although I have certainly a deep appreciation of the Persian art and the Iranian community in terms of their interests, their aspirations in the Greater Toronto area. But I think through those publications that is true, majority of the this weekly are written in writing that kind of foreign to me. However, they do have English pages that to me I can relate to. So I think that those information platform, particularly now with more digital kind of, I would say, channels, the ones I'm referring to, they are more in print form, like a weekly paper or weekly bulletin, I would say. But I think that probably still have its purpose to serve. Well, maybe may not be during pandemic, but I can see the value is still going to continue for a while. But also through the other channel, whether in a form like digital-wise, whether in a form like what we are now communicating in the virtual world, there'll be opportunity for the Persian community, Iranian, Canadian, to be engaging in cross-cultural, intercultural kind of exchanges, whether it's on the particular interest of topic, whether it's particular on the performances. So I think the interest in promoting more multi-channel interchange of cross-cultural, cross-exchange, and I think that would be a way to entrench, if I may say the term, of the this kind of communication opportunities and channels. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, yeah, you did. Like, yeah, my question was about exactly local media everywhere, like in Richmond Hill, in Toronto, in Ontario, in Vancouver, LA, like around the world, the local media. Yeah, you did. My last question, Councillor, is what should be done to encourage production companies to produce and distribute culture kind of like products, activities? What should be done?
Now, I don't pretend I know much about production business, so I might not be of much help in here, but also I'm the chair of the Richmond Hill Economic Development Committee. And to that end, I think for a production company as a company, which is certainly would promote arts and culture, but it's also a business and a commercial enterprise. So to that end, I think it would be helpful to be also, particularly if it's going to be set up locally, to look at and search for and give opportunity for local talents, whether it is from the Iranian community locally, and of course, in Canada, we always welcome the imported talents from Los Angeles. As I mentioned earlier, particularly among the Iranian community, and but look to the local talents, get engaged with local officials like ourselves, right? Production company, let's say if you're doing this award, for example, let's say maybe one day Richmond Hill, well, I'll be honest that we can compare with Los Angeles. We can compare with Vegas, right? But on the other hand, we have our strengths. Like we have in the Greater Toronto area, a very significant number of Iranian Canadian community based in this area. We are really accessible in terms of in many ways, and there may be opportunities to have a studio set up here with an office here. They may be also doing business in LA, in Vegas, in Vancouver, but it helps to contribute to the local economy, and generally speaking to the business of the production studio. And also it could be in that sense helping to unify or a place, a gathering place, providing shows, whatever, for the, let's say in this case, for the Persian and Iranian community in Canada, in the United States. And in fact, in city of Richmond Hill, we have a very active, what we call movie industry. Because I know it's not the same as production studio. It may be for a TV show ever. Now, also in the city of Toronto, I don't want to take credit away from them as well. But both City of Toronto and ourselves here in Richmond Hill, we actually each year we issue quite a number of permits for this quote unquote Hollywood people from the States to come up to shoot movies. Now, for example, in particular Richmond Hill, we have a beautiful place called David Dunlop Observatory, a very scenic, iconic observatory. In fact, that I take pride that to actually get the government of Canada to designate it as a national historic site. Now, I'm not going to advertise for them, but in addition to some movies, we have some of TV commercial shot at that place. And because it's very iconic, as I mentioned. And so a production studio, obviously you can do whatever wonders indoor these days, particularly with the digital things, anything can happen these days, right? But I think like places like Vancouver, I'm sure places like us in Richmond Hill or other places could be the place where production studio can find a welcoming local or maybe a state or provincial government, because after all, this is an artistic component, but it's also a business component. And particularly with you would be local talents, local jobs could be created to produce shows, whether it's a award ceremony or whether there's a weekly, whatever program or monthly program that, in fact, these days, with the technology from anywhere in the world, you can beam it to all over the world. Your relative in Europe can watch this, something you just produced Vancouver, right? And so I think the opportunity is boundless. Just have to reach out, make the connections. So let me know if I can be of help.
Of course. Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. The first thing that I can say about Persian Awards is like it's global. Like there is no kind of limitation for celebrating when we are celebrating contribution of people, politicians, and artists. So and with this technology, especially after pandemic, with all the chaos that happen in everywhere around the world, there is some kind of advantages as well, which one of the advantages is just it's global. Everything is global. I am here in Vancouver and I'm just doing the interview with you in beautiful Richmond Hill. And like even as you mentioned, we can just do a kind of like a legend celebration or any awards like Grammy or Oscar that they just they did it through the Zoom or like virtual, I can say. So there is no kind of limitation. Thank you so much, Councillor, for your time, for accepting our invitation. It was really an honor for me to talk to you and speak with you. Hopefully one day we're gonna meet each other and we're gonna celebrate one of the awards in beautiful Richmond Hill.
Thank you very much for having me, and I have a very enjoyable conversation with you. And again, all the very best for the preparation for the award. And I wish you all the success and stay healthy. And certainly I look forward to the day to meet you and others in person. And oh yes, I should do a bit of commercial. We do have a Richmond Hill Center for Performing Arts. Actually, it was opened in 2009, but believe it or not, still considered one of the largest center of performance in this York region, north of Toronto. So I look forward to the day. Perhaps we can welcome you and the award in our Richmond Hill Center for Performing Arts.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we will, like me, Mojdeh from Vancouver, from Persian Awards, with Councillor Godwin Chan, is saying goodbye to you till next time.